So Israel just eliminated a significant amount of the Houthi senior leadership in a single wave of strikes, handing that organization arguably the worst day in their history. I mean, going back 10 plus years, the Saudis, the United States more recently, and even Israel over the course of the last few months have not seen this degree of success from one operation. And according to the Israeli defense minister, this is only the beginning. Quote, "If someone comes to kill you, rise early and kill him first." On top of this, we got news overnight that Israel targeted and may have eliminated the chief Hamas spokesperson, Abu Obeida. More on that in the second half of today's video. Now, what we know so far from this series of strikes in Sana'a, Ynet reports the operation was called Drop of Luck, and it relied on real-time intelligence to effectively target the Houthi leadership. And I should note, Houthi leadership, the designated terror organization that controls the western portion of Yemen, not the Republic of Yemen, the internationally recognized government in the eastern and most of Yemen, for what it's worth. They say the strike came hours after Israel intercepted 2 drones launched by the Houthis at Israel and coincided with a speech by the Houthi leader. And more on that here in a minute. They say residents in Sana'a described powerful explosions, with one telling Ynet it felt as though it came from underground. Reuters reported the strikes targeted the presidential compound, which housed an operations room and missile storage, while IDF officials said it struck a single target. What we know as of this point is there are sources in Yemen saying at the very least those eliminated in this strike was the Houthi prime minister, the minister of agriculture, welfare, economy. These are different people. The minister of economy, the minister of justice, information, education, foreign affairs, minister of the interior, and more. The casualty figures I've seen are upwards of 50. You have to assume that when this level of senior leadership is gathered together, they have all of their deputies as well, and their bodyguards and their entourage, right? The Houthi, albeit a terrorist organization, they operate like a government, so these guys are rolling deep. So it wouldn't be shocking to see a casualty count of 30, 40, 50 coming out as we get more information on this strike. The IDF issued a statement saying, quote, "On Thursday, the Israeli Air Force struck a facility that hosted dozens of senior officials of the Houthi terrorist regime. Among the senior officials present at the site during the strike was the Houthi prime minister, who was eliminated along with additional senior officials. At the facility were senior officials responsible for the use of force, the military buildup of the Houthi terror regime, and the advancement of terror actions against Israel, along with other key senior Houthi officials." And we should note that the Houthis, really since the beginning of July, so a month and a half, almost 2 months at this point, have not been carrying out attacks against commercial shipping in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. However, 3-4 times a week, just about every other day in that time period, they are launching missiles and drones at Israeli territory, including last week the first use of a ballistic missile with a cluster munition warhead that we did see Iran use against Israel during the 12-day war, given that Iran supplies the Houthis, and we've had videos just recently showing some of the shipments from Iran making their way to Houthi-controlled territory. It would not be surprising if Iran sent one of those to Yemen explicitly for this use, or if the Houthis had this sitting around and decided it was time to fire clusters into Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Katz put out a pretty cold statement and suggested that this is just the beginning of what the Houthis and really the Iranian axis of resistance can expect to continue for a period of time. He said, quote, "The day before yesterday, we delivered an unprecedented knockout blow to the top security political leadership of the Houthi terrorist organization in Yemen in a daring and brilliant IDF operation. I warned that after the plague of darkness would come the plague of the firstborn, and now we have carried out that warning. The fate of Yemen is the fate of Tehran, and this is only the beginning. The Houthis will learn the hard way that whoever threatens and harms Israel will be struck sevenfold, and they will not decide when this ends. We will continue to pursue an offensive policy on all fronts with a clear and sharp message. If someone comes to kill you, rise early and kill him first." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu added some context to these strikes, saying, quote, "For some time now, I've been promising you and the citizens of Israel that the Houthis will pay a very heavy price for their aggression against the state of Israel." The Air Force targeted a gathering of senior members of the terror regime in Sana'a, who at that very moment were watching a speech by the Houthi leader, Abdul Malik al-Houthi. So, again, that was reported by Ynet and now again stated by Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu that that group of senior Houthi officials were gathered together to hear their leader give a speech. that's when the impacts occurred. Netanyahu said in every speech, al-Houthi pledges to strike Israel, to destroy Israel. They even engrave it on their flag. That promise will never be fulfilled, but our promise to strike the terror regime with even greater force is indeed being fulfilled and in a decisive way. And this is only the beginning of the strike against the senior leadership in Sana'a. We will reach them all. Now, looking at some other responses here, notably the Houthis have generally been very quiet with announcing the death of anyone in their ranks, and this is nothing new. If you look at the sustained U.S. campaign carried out against them during, February, March time period, like 40-plus days of daily U.S. airstrikes and missile strikes against the Houthis, on multiple occasions, the United States claimed that we took out a senior figure or a senior military official. I don't think a single one of those was confirmed by the Houthis, which could be viewed a couple different ways. One, they're just not confirming it, or two, our intel was not spot on and we didn't actually get them. Nonetheless, it's notable here that the Houthis are confirming that some of these people were killed. The Houthi response, part of the Houthi response, said, quote, "With great pride and honor, mixed with sadness and grief, we mourn the martyrdom of the Prime Minister along with a number of his companions. The treacherous enemy has pained us with this calamity, but we pledge to God, the dear Yemeni people, and the families of the martyrs and wounded, that we will take revenge and create victory from the depths of our wounds." And I should note that as of this recording, we have not seen a Houthi response. I would not be surprised to see a ballistic missile launch and drones launched against Israel in the next couple hours, certainly days. Al Jazeera reporting on this said, quote, "A Houthi official has vowed vengeance against Israel after the Yemeni group confirmed that an Israeli airstrike earlier this week killed the prime minister of the Houthi government in the capital, Sana'a." Now, it wasn't just going after the Houthis in recent days. We've seen a series of Israeli airstrikes targeting them. Again, remember the United States entered into a ceasefire agreement with the Houthis. I believe we still have a number of military vessels in the region. They're not conducting offensive operations at this time. Now, on top of this strike against the Houthis, we actually saw Israel just yesterday go after what appears to have been the senior spokesperson, Abu Obeida of Hamas, the guy that his picture, he's always the one putting out the statements, threatening Israel, threatening the hostages, talking about ongoing military operations. This actually came just following a new video released by Hamas titled "The Master of Martyrs," which for the first time showed a couple key figures in the Hamas organization that have not really been shown since they were killed by Israel over the course of the last couple years. According to the Times of Israel, say the video, which is 3 minutes in length, and I'll have this linked in the description for those interested, opens with a clip of the former head of Hamas's military wing, Mohammed Deif, talking about Hamas's fight against the tyrants of Israel with mournful music playing in the background. The music, a song titled "Master of Martyrs," continues throughout as clips of rocket fire on Israel, the October 7th invasion, military parades, and various other snippets of Hamas propaganda footage play out on screen. Among the clips is a brief snippet of what appears to be a meeting between several former Hamas leaders, including Hamas Politburo leader Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas's leader in Gaza, Yahya Sinwar, and the deputy commander of Hamas's military wing, Marwan Issa. The three men were all killed in IDF operations in 2024, as was Deif. So again, very similar to what we are seeing out of the Houthis right now. Not a lot of urgent verification or rapid verification or timely verification when these senior figures are eliminated. So it is notable at this point that Hamas decided it was time, and for whatever reason, let's go ahead and start mourning these guys publicly. That happened to come just moments before an Israeli airstrike in Gaza that may have eliminated Abu Obeida, the senior spokesperson of Hamas's military wing. Still mixed reporting on this. The Saudi Al Arabiya network quoted a Palestinian source saying that Abu Obeida was present in the apartment that Israel attacked yesterday. Everyone who was there was killed. They say Abu Obeida was also killed. Senior members of Hamas's military wing and several members of his family confirmed his death after seeing the body. That information has not made it to any other international outlets at this point, and I've not seen it officially reported in Israel. The Hamas response, as expected, this is generally pretty standard with how they do this. They talked about the atrocities that were committed in this strike and made no reference to Hamas or even the target of the strike. Hamas said, quote, "The criminal airstrike carried out by the fascist occupation army on a residential building in the densely populated Al-Ramal neighborhood of western Gaza City, resulting in dozens of casualties, including martyrs and wounded, represents a further escalation in the genocide and a brutal targeting of innocent civilians, aiming to terrorize and forcibly displace them from the city. Again, pretty standard Hamas response, even if it's very clearly all militants that were killed. That's generally what we're going to hear from Qassam Brigades. Now, Gaza Now, a Palestinian source with a lot of sources in the Gaza Strip, put out a statement saying, quote, Abu Obeida, the official spokesperson for Al-Qassam Brigades, is fine, and the Zionist rumors are not true. Quick note on that of not true rumors. 2 days ago, there was an attack. Israel has resumed military operations in some portions of the Gaza Strip. It appears there was an IED detonated under a vehicle. May have been one Israeli soldier killed. I'm not sure if it lined up exactly, but definitely a handful wounded that were inside of the vehicle. Immediately, stories started coming out on Palestinian media that 4 Israeli soldiers had been captured, kidnapped, abducted by Hamas and drug underground into the tunnels, that there was an urgent search underway, and Israel had put in force this media blackout. Al Jazeera even stood up like an alert desk, right? Like breaking news, all eyes on this thing. Israeli soldiers are captured and held by Hamas. By all accounts, that was not true and is not true. So Israel did come out and say that's just completely made up, and all of the organizations that were reporting it dropped it entirely, and we've seen no evidence since that incident, that even from Hamas, that they have those soldiers. And in the past, we have seen that, where they release footage pretty quickly to kind of brag and build on what they would view as a success. So that rumor is not true. Al Jazeera did add to this reporting, again, not saying much here, but sticking with this civilian component, where they said, quote, strikes maim children as Israel says Qassam spokesperson Abu Obeida targeted. They say video shows injured children in the aftermath of strikes on Gaza City as Israel's military hit multiple apartment buildings in its campaign to force Palestinians out of the area. Israel says it was targeting Qassam Brigade spokesperson Abu Obeida from Hamas's armed wing. So again, we'll wait for confirmation on that. I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. What we should expect is some announcement from Israel in the next day or two as to the effects of this strike. We're getting some unofficial reporting, unnamed officials at this point, saying that if he was there, he was definitely killed, but nothing on the record. We are not going to get any confirmation from Hamas anytime soon, so we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Now, I do want to wrap up here with some footage that just came out a few days ago from October 7th, the initial Hamas attack into Israel. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's pretty graphic, but I do think it's important to note. If you're interested in watching this, I'll have the source video linked in the description below. But according to JFeed, they say the Israeli government has released harrowing security camera footage depicting Hamas murdering Gil Ta'assa, a 47-year-old father, in front of his 2 young sons during the October 7th, 2023 attack on southern Israel. In the footage, Ta'assa is seen shielding his sons, aged 8 and 12, from a grenade thrown by the attackers. He jumps on the explosive device, absorbing the blast and sacrificing his life to protect the children, who were nonetheless severely injured. The terrorists then enter the home, where one casually rummages through the refrigerator and takes a drink while the wounded boys plead for help. The children survived the ordeal but sustained life-altering injuries, including shrapnel wounds and psychological trauma. So again, that full video will be linked in the description below. Know what you're getting into if you want to watch that, but I think it's important that Israel releases some of this, as graphic and nasty as it is, because it is kind of the source reason for what they are doing in Gaza today, whether you think they're on the right path or they have the right end state in mind, or they're even moving in the right direction at all. Seeing and a reminder of October 7th, I think is important. But either way, that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.